last night was truly one of the greatest nights in the NBA. But to me, it showed one obvious thing, with that being that we are currently in the center era of NBA basketball. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous considering that the last 3 years we've seen centers win the MVP, and Jokic just got done leading his team to the NBA Finals and winning Finals MVP, but hear me out. Starting with Joel Embiid's 70-point game last night, because that was just simply historic. I think an NBA player scoring 70 points is still crazy, and I'm happy that the rest of the league still agrees that that is a crazy thing to have happen, because after last season where you had two players, Donovan Mitchell and Damian Lillard, I was forgetting who scored the other one, scored 70, it kind of felt like maybe scoring was becoming too crazy in the NBA, right? And I feel like it got to a point where maybe at a certain point in time, we weren't going to find these performances as crazy or embrace them and enjoy them as much as we did back in the day. But even if we do get accustomed to players dropping crazy amount of points, there is one thing that's different about Joel Embiid's game that not many other people have had before. With that being, he's a center. All the other players who have scored 70, at least in the modern NBA era, were all guards. Besides David Robinson 30 years ago, who scored, I think it was 71 points in his game. So that makes David Robinson and Joel Embiid the only centers who ever score 70 points, which is just wild. But don't you dare go and compare David Robinson to Joel Embiid, because you want to know what Embiid haters will say about that? That Embiid is a free throw merchant, and the only reason why he got 70 points is because he's on the free throw line. Which to me, if you still think like that in 2024, please grow up. That is the most childish shit that there is. I understand that not many people like watching Joel Embiid's game. I honestly someone who doesn't really care to watch all of his games, because I do see him at the free throw line a lot. But at the same time, that's his game and he's good at it. So for you to sit there and deny greatness because you do not enjoy the play style is something that you will look back on and regret when this time has passed and you go and look at the previous history of centers doing crazy things or just players doing crazy things, and Joel Embiid is there with a 70-point bomb that you didn't appreciate. But the most childish thing about that whole free throw take is that it's not even true. Like, let's go back and look at some of the other players in the NBA who have scored 70 plus points. Starting with the obvious in Joel Embiid, after he attempted a total of 23 free throws last night, making 21 of them. But now let's go in order in the last 30 years to see the other players and their free throw attempts. Starting with the most recent one being Damian Lillard, who actually put up the lowest amount of free throw attempts, with that being 14. And of course, he made all 14 of those attempts. Moving forward, you get Donovan Mitchell, who actually attempted 25 free throws, only making 20 of them. So already there's another player who put up more free throw attempts than the free throw merchant himself. But let's just keep going, with the next one being Devin Booker's 70-point game, where he shot 26 free throw attempts, making 24 of them. Or Kobe Bryant's 81-point game, where he put up 20 attempts, only knocking down 18 of them, which once again is a little bit different because the guy scored 81 fucking points. I mean, that is just crazy, but you know, we're still going through all the facts and all the other stat lines here, okay? But the last player to put up 70 in the last 30 years was David Robinson, who also attempted 25 free throws. Now, I know that that was kind of a lot to take in, but the whole point of that was to show you that Joel Embiid didn't get to this spot by only knocking down free throws, by getting 40 attempts in a single game and not actually playing basketball. No, every other person, or almost every other person, who has hit such an amazing mark in the game did the same thing, if not had more free throw attempts. So yeah, Joel Embiid didn't do this because of the free throw line. He did this because he is the best player in the NBA. And I'm also pretty sure his matchup against Victor Wembanyama was probably a lot of motivation. I mean, you see them squaring up against each other at the intro of the game. I mean, I see it. Which, side note, since we're talking about centers here, I feel like no one is going to talk about Victor Wembanyama's performance, which is understandable considering he got 70 dropped on him. But still, Victor put up a solid 33 points in this game, which is actually his second highest points scored in a single game. Like, I understand that Chet is a good rookie. Yes, I'm gonna say rookie on that because it's his second year in the NBA, but Victor should win this by like 100%. There's no question about it to me. But it wasn't just Joel Embiid who had a good night last night, right? He's not the only center who was out there killing everyone, because while in the middle of this Embiid game, Karl Anthony Towns almost scored more points than him. I mean, at halftime, Joel Embiid had, I think, 33 or 34 points. Karl Anthony Towns had 44. But as we all know, the difference in Cat's game is that he is able to knock down threes, which is probably the biggest evolution that we have seen from the center position of all time, with him scoring a record-breaking 10 three-pointers in a single game. 10 three-pointers from a center, with that record being just one missed three away from tying with Aaron Baines. with his record being 9 threes back in 2020. I completely forgot about that performance. I didn't even know what happened. I didn't even know that happened, to be honest. I don't know. Now, although Cat was having such a good performance, he ended up getting benched in the clutch time, which probably really killed a lot of momentum for that team because they ended up losing to the Charlotte Hornets after a 62-point game from Karl Anthony Towns, which is just really depressing, to be honest. It kind of made it feel like this entire Cat performance kind of got washed away because does it really matter when you don't get a win? Not to mention Joel Embiid dropped 70 on the same day, same night, you know what I mean? So no one really cared about a 62-point loss. I feel like it's safe to say the last thing that would solidify, that would lock this era in as the center era in the NBA would be Joel Embiid winning a championship, because Jokic has already made that accomplishment. He's already won the MVPs. He's already won the championship, and him and Embiid are the only two real, you know, faces of centers in the NBA. So if Embiid goes out and wins this one, that's locked. That's over. And it seems like Joel Embiid understands that too, because he is so locked in on winning a championship this year. It seems like after he stopped asking for MVPs, the only thing he's really been focused on is winning a championship, and understandable because this 76ers team is insane. Because when looking at the East right now, the only team that I see really beating this 76ers team is maybe the Boston Celtics, but the Boston Celtics always seem to look like that team, but don't always come through on that. So I don't know. I have the 76ers over the Bucks, if that's what you're going to be asking down in the comments below. So yeah, honestly, with all of that being said, this whole video was basically just me talking about how the centers in the NBA are really running shit now. I mean, if you look at some of the top leaders in all stats in the NBA, it's mostly all centers. Like points, you have Embiid, rebounds, you have Sabonis, and an assist. In third place is Jokic, which kind of fumbles up my whole take there. But anyways, it's just crazy to see centers doing stuff like this in the league still. But with that being said, be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below, do you think that centers will always have a piece in basketball? Because we kind of saw them disappear not that long ago, but now they're back. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Later.